In today's team selection video, with Gabriel possibly missing out at the weekend and Rico Lewis actually suspended, I need to make a defensive transfer. But who do I bring in? But also in this video, going to consider the best captaincy option between Palmer, Salah and Saka. So let's waste no time and have a look at how my team could line up ahead of that game week 16 deadline. Game week 16 in FPL, I have a few defensive issues that need addressing this game week. Of course, we have Gabriel there with that yellow flag. There is a chance he is available for the weekend, but he did miss the midweek fixture against Monaco in the Champions League. There are rumours that he has been training indoors for Arsenal and not in first team training, which I suppose is a little bit of positive news, but it's not something I'm relying on to indicate that he's going to start against Everton at home this game week. I think there's no need to transfer him out personally in my team this game week. It just doesn't really make sense. Rico Lewis, on the other hand, of course, not available for selection for Pep at all this weekend with the red card he received last week. He's going to be the transfer out this game week and using my one free transfer on that position. The reason being is Robinson has, on the bench there, has Liverpool away from home. Not a great fixture whatsoever. Vandenberg as well, Chelsea away from home, not a great fixture whatsoever. So the rotation there just doesn't work out. Of course, who would have predicted that Rico Lewis got the red card in the Palace fixture? These things happen in FPL. We just have to react to them in an appropriate way. And I think a defensive transfer this week anyway was the most likely move. Maybe I wouldn't have liked to do Rico Lewis because there is a nice run of fixtures coming up for City. And I feel as though Pep does favour him quite a lot. So potentially there would have been some clean sheet potential with Rico Lewis at that point. Maybe it's the case that I bring in a City defender when they start to change form. But until that happens, I'm pretty happy selling Rico Lewis in all honesty. The question is of who do I bring in? There are really two options that I love right now. Levi Colwill and Kirkez. If you asked me at the start of the week, I would have lent a little bit more towards Kirkez, but at the moment I think I'm going to get a little bit more usability from Colwill in the next few weeks of FPL. Of course, his fixtures are fantastic, as all Chelsea fixtures are, and the rotation between Kirkez and Robinson was great, and I just think having Colwill with a few extra fixtures, which are really nice, should rotate a little bit better with Robinson on the bench there in that sort of third defensive slot. So yeah, Colwill will probably join my team this game week and Rico Lewis will most likely leave. In terms of the available players in my team, we've got Trent and David Raya. There of course are no issues with them currently. Trent, a very popular pick this week. Of course, I got him maybe a week or two earlier. David Raya, of course, Arsenal defender, cheap. Really don't mind having him whatsoever. But let's move on up to the midfield and have a little discussion now about captaincy for game week 16. Now, just before we delve into the difficult decision of captaincy this game week, I think it's a good place to start with Mbeumo here. Of course, he's still in my squad. I wanted to sell him last game week, but I did hit that free hit activation button and free hitted for the game week. I really didn't have a starting 11. I didn't feel comfortable going into game week 15 with hardly any players playing. So here we are still with Mbeumo, and of course, with the Rico Lewis red card, it's more likely I make a defensive transfer than a midfield transfer. At the end of the day, Brian Mbeumo plays 90 minutes for a Brentford team, and he takes penalties. I don't think it is an immediate transfer I need to make. Other options in my team needs sort of priority moves out at the moment. So, again, Brian Mbeumo somehow survives in my team. Morgan Rogers, of course, the yellow card situation for him isn't ideal. I'm hoping in the next few weeks I can kind of turn him into a more rotational asset or perhaps even upgrade him. But for now, he's going to have to play and just hopefully he doesn't pick up too many yellow cards in the next few games. When it comes to the three premium assets here in Cole Palmer, Mo Salah and Bukayo Saka, they all have great home fixtures this game week. At the moment, Palmer has the armband, and I think if the deadline was in 5 minutes, I think I'll probably stick with this decision. It's mainly between Salah and Palmer this game week. There is a consideration to go Bukayo Saka, but I feel as though Everton, as a defence, perhaps can be a bit tricky to break down at times. but it is at home for Bukayo Saka, so I feel as though, it's not a bad captaincy option. I just feel as though Salah and Palmer are slightly better this game week. In terms of Salah versus Palmer, it kind of brings me to Brentford's away form first as a thought there, because they haven't been great away from home, Brentford. They really haven't. And I think Chelsea, attacking-wise, have been really fantastic lately. You kind of put two together and you expect Palmer to get a great haul this week. It's kind of a concern that I feel as though Brentford will go to Stamford Bridge and just sit in really deep and kind of absorb all the attacks and kind of try get them on the break. So then you'd maybe look to Salah, but Salah hasn't got the best record against Fulham. I don't think we can really use historic data too much with players, especially when Salah's on amazing form and Liverpool are simply just unstoppable in the Premier League right now. But yeah, it's kind of a 50-50 toss-up between the two of them now, and I suppose we'll be able to say that for a lot of weeks in FPL, the kind of decision between Palmer and Salah captaincy. But at the moment, I'm on Palmer. It could change. I do really like the idea of Salah, but I suppose it will be made. The decision will be made on the deadline stream. But yeah, it's super close between these two players for captaincy. Now, in the forward line, things calm down a little bit more. There aren't really players I want to get rid of. There are no real injury issues. I think the main issues with these two at the moment are perhaps form for Matheus Cunha and maybe minutes for João Pedro. In terms of the fixtures they have this week, they're absolutely fantastic. Of course, we brought these players in for these fixtures. I'm going to be playing them regardless. Of course, both home fixtures, which are really, really nice. I guess we'll start with Cunha and Wolves overall. Wolves, I genuinely thought the first bit of the season, the fixtures were really, really hard. I thought when the fixtures change, the form's going to pick up a little bit and they're going to kind of get out of that relegation zone ever so slowly. But it just hasn't happened just yet. And Cunha is the main man for Wolves. I expect him to be involved in the way he has been going forward. I'm just hoping he has a few more shots. It's kind of been a little bit lackluster lately in terms of the attacking output for Cunha and Wolves. Maybe this changes in this fixture, but I feel as though Ipswich can give teams a hard time, although they aren't really adapted to the Premier League, and I can kind of see players like Cunha with the quality they have kind of exploiting those areas that Ipswich are weak in. When it comes to João Pedro, Brighton have a lot of players back from injury now, and I think, yes, this will hurt João Pedro's minutes, but I don't necessarily see him starting on the bench anytime soon. I feel as though he's a super important cog going forward for Brighton. He can either play up tops or just behind the striker. And of course, we have options in and around those positions which can rotate in and out with João Pedro, the likes of Evan Ferguson, Welbeck, Jorginho Ruta. I just feel as though it's kind of going to be the case that he's going to be early subbed in the next few weeks, which isn't ideal, but at this price point, really isn't the end of the world for someone who's going to play a lot of minutes and is on penalties. So, yeah, these two dudes up front, I'm not too worried about whatsoever. Cunha, when his fixtures turn, I will be looking to move on. And I suppose we'll transition into a much more favourable player, which I'll show you in just a second as we move on to the next section, which is my transfer plans for the next few weeks. Now, I just want to quickly spend a few minutes at the end of the video here showing my transfer plans for sort of the next 3 or 4 weeks of FPL to kind of give you an understanding on where I'm at with my team and what my transfer plans are going forward. We spoke about the Rico Lewis transfer. I do like COLWILL a little bit better than Kirkez at the moment. That could change. The kind of two options which I really do enjoy the look of in my team at the moment. I mean, if we look at COLWILL's fixtures coming up, really fantastic, and I think he rotates with Robinson pretty well coming up in the next few weeks also. This would be the team that game week 16 I would go for. Moving to 17, it's a week that I would like to roll my transfer in particular. If it's the case that Gabriel is still not available for Arsenal, I could have a backline of Trent, Robinson and COLWILL. If he is available, it would probably be the point I would bench COLWILL that week and then go into the game week looking like this. Man City at home for Rodgers isn't ideal, but if we kind of think about how City have been defensively, I feel as though it's actually not too bad of a fixture. Mbeumo, Forest at home. Home fixtures with Brentford are pretty decent, so I'm happy keeping them for that week. And in terms of the rest of the team, overall, it's pretty decent. Game week 18, COLWILL in, Robinson out. Of course, if we still know nothing about Gabriel and he's not available, I would then have to play Robinson. But I feel as though after a few weeks, we should have Gabriel back. This is the week where I would make my 2 free transfer move and transition into Nicholas Jackson. And in the midfield, I actually don't mind Eze at this point. So I suppose we'll speak about Nicholas Jackson first. Brentford at home, of course, I would love to have Nicholas Jackson for. Everton away is a fixture which I don't particularly love for Nicholas Jackson, but it's not the worst fixture in the world. I think bringing him in 18, possibly after he's faced his yellow card situation in 16 or 17, would be the move for me. I just feel as though it's a lot more of a sensible time to bring him in with slightly better fixtures. When it comes to Eze, this is where the fixtures kind of turn for Palace. You've got Bournemouth away, Southampton at home, which is really, really nice. Chelsea at home in 20, which isn't great, but then you go on to Leicester and West Ham. So that kind of move set in game week 18 with the 2 free transfers, I do really enjoy. Going into 19, 20 and onwards, I feel as though my team's strong enough to kind of just keep rolling those transfers past Christmas. There are not too many options that I need to get rid of. Of course, João Pedro, when he comes into 19 and 20, does have Villa and Arsenal, but then he does play in 21 against Ipswich, so perhaps a player I could keep a hold of. I could maybe look towards in 19, moving to someone like Raul Jimenez. Of course, you can see on Robinson's fixture list here, 19 to 20, you've got Bournemouth at home and Ipswich at home, so perhaps a move you could make there. But overall, my team for the next few weeks, I think there's a mindset in my team where I'm going to be picking players that have long-term good fixtures and are genuinely decent options who are going to get a lot of minutes, because I don't want to have picks in my team at the moment in the position I am, the rank I am, where they're not going to be available some weeks, and some weeks are going to maybe come off early. I need to pick solid picks every single game week going forward now. And yeah, this is how we're probably going to line up in game week 16. Rico Lewis out, Levi Colwill in. To outro every video, I like to give you guys at home a big thank you for supporting the FPL Mugs YouTube channel. If you have enjoyed today's video, drop a like, and if you aren't yet subscribed, make sure you consider subscribing for weekly FPL content and deadline streams. But that is everything for today's video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.